Yeah, I mean, just start off with Jeff, and just I think outstanding news, so well deserved. I think for everything Jeff did. I didn't have the pleasure of coaching him, but I've had I was fortunate to be able to be around him quite a bit over the last number of years, and he's always very willing, to come back and give back, and spend time with the current roster and spend time with the coaches, and that ambitious young guy that thinks he's really good. When Jeff will play against him, Jeff usually kicks the shit out of him and then lets him know about it, and that's been happening for years. But as good of a player Jeff was and what he's meant to the program and during his time here, I think just the person he is, the champion he is, and then just father, a great family person. So very deserving honor for Jeff. Very happy for him.
Bobby, what is it like to have one of your former players in the NBA Finals?
It's exciting. I was texting with Lou and texting with someone that was very close to him and in his process and his decision making, just about the meeting where he sat in my office and talked about the possibility of Lou coming to Arizona State, and just kind of reminisced on that some, and just got reflective to good memories when Lou was in the program, and he was a fighter, and he had a great season together, and he's just battled his way and keep climbing. He's a great example of somebody that things were not always handed to him, and he had to earn it and take it, and he's really climbed the ladder, and he's done it with a great deal of humility, and he's not like some athletes with his status that think they're better than other people. He's a very grounded person.
What about him making defenses kind of calling card? I mean, that's his niche, that's what he's known for, and he's really owned that part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that like when we recruited him, and he just had that real desire to get after it on defense. It was big part of why we were attracted to bring him here, and and that's just grown as he's grown, and you got to find something at that level that you could really hang your hat on, and that's him being a lockdown defender has been his niche with that team, and just a great teammate. I would imagine the guys really love playing with Lou, and so I'm just going to enjoy watching it, and I've enjoyed watching the playoffs and seeing his growth and development.
You talked about
in the last couple of years. Have you used video of him with your current players?
It comes up quite a bit in recruiting, and more so that than maybe. It's hard to emulate what he does. He's just the physicality in his body, his athletic ability. Kenny would be trying to get him from me if he was here, at Arizona State. Just so there's a lot of things he did that I didn't really have to teach him to do it, and but in recruiting, he's someone that everybody knows about. He's on the biggest stage right now. So when we're recruiting guys in the perimeter, we're talking about him quite a bit.
I mean, how does his story help younger athletes? He didn't get drafted. Obviously, he's a great athlete, great player, but he didn't get drafted. Had to, as you said, had to fight his way to where he is today.
Yeah, I mean, he's again, from the first time I saw him and watched him compete, I had a feeling he was going to take it the distance, and it's hard to be in that 1% NBA guy, and it's not easy, and but he had all the intangibles and the makeup and the physical ability to do it, and he just had a harder path. He had a different path, and but he was great here. I mean, he was Pac-12 Rookie of the Year. He averaged 16 a game, was great on defense, got us to the NCAA tournament with some other good players on that team, but I'm not surprised what he's done. It's just he's always been a great worker, and I think nothing was going to stop him.
Could you tell during his freshman year that he had this level of upside?
Yeah, I think there was his first game that it kind of jumped out on me was we played Nevada, I think in Staples, and they were number 6 in the country, and I think he had 30 in that game. And wasn't really known for being a scorer. He's more of a defensive guy and a rebounder at his position, but really showed me a lot in a game like that he could he could play at that level. So kind of knew pretty early in that season that he may not be at Arizona State too long.
During his draft process, he mentioned that he took a lot of tape from guys like Donovan Mitchell, Russell Westbrook, explosive guards, but kind of seems like he bought into a completely different role right away and kind of earned his flowers. So what do you think that just says about his professionalism in the league?
I think a lot of guys try and be something that they're not instead of just embracing who they are, and I think that's what Lou's done. And I just got a real kick out of watching it like right away, and just seeing him, one of his first games at OKC, like guarding James Harden, and then seeing those two playing against each other a couple of years ago, and then just seeing every game, you know, the guys that he's guarding. You know, he's guarding Ja Morant, he's guarding all the top, he gets all the top assignments, and he just rolls up his sleeves and he's ready for it.
How are things going for you right now here with the crew you've got in?
I had fun yesterday. It was, I had some butterflies, a little nervous because I have not conducted a workout in about 6 weeks. So it was, we had a couple of guys that have cleared medically and able to get some stuff done yesterday, and we'll have another group of workouts today. We're still, I'm not going to really talk a whole lot about the roster yet because it's still, guys are finalizing academic stuff, and we've gone a little bit in the international route this year, so we got some guys that are going through the clearinghouse and different things that have to get done before. So I would say in a few weeks I'd just have a better idea for you of what exactly that looks like.
You talk about that moment with Lou guarding James. What does guys like James, Lou, and Jeff do and say about the program?
Well, I mean, it's James is a guy that's always back to. I mean, it was when Lou was a freshman, he was playing one-on-one versus James, and it came full circle when those two guys were going against each other in the NBA in an NBA game. And Jeff has always been just again come back, want to be around the guys, around the coaching staff, and just he's so all three of those guys really have embraced being a Sun Devil and take that very seriously.
Lou said that you really helped him understand what it takes to get to the league. What were kind of your conversations with him like about what it takes to make it to the NBA and carve out a career there?
Just how hard it is, and it's not easy. Once you get there, you're going to be tested so much. You got to believe in yourself. You got to have a lot of confidence. You got to keep working. You got to keep getting better. And I never had to. Lou was always in the gym and always doing those things, and he had great habits. And I think that's carried over, and that's helped him, become the player he is now.
Bobby, every generation swears they worked harder than the next and upcoming generation. But what's the truth? Are there fewer and fewer Lou Dorts in the world that are not entitled and work their way through like him?
Yeah, sometimes your definition of what work means is not always the reality. It's I don't know, one of my friends in the business sent me a photo today of a strength shoe that I trained with. It's like a platform shoe that's supposed to help your jumping ability. It didn't really help me that much, but I did it, and I just remember those days and the training and what it takes to get to the highest level. And I've had guys like that, and I haven't had all guys like that, but Lou certainly was on a mission when he came here. He wanted to watch film with me on his own. He wanted to spend extra time working on his game. He was as competitive as any guy I had for that 1 year. He didn't, when I went into Tucson with Lou Dort, man, I felt pretty good. That's all I could say, because that dude was, he fit the profile of what other Arizona teams had, like that guy, that difference maker, athlete, and Lou just gave me a lot of confidence when he was here.
How hard is it to put together a roster nowadays with the portal and NIL, and this year having more turnover than you've ever had, and you've had it before? How hard is it to handle
I would
the
say
roster?
it's interesting you brought that up, because years ago, if a player left and I've had this long relationship, it almost broke my heart. But now I just know this is the reality I'm in. So the relationship piece, you have to be able to say, hey, look, whatever guy that leaves and wants to go somewhere else, if you want to call me and you want to talk, I'll be here for you. But I'll support whatever decision you have. It's just I'll just say my heart doesn't get broken anymore. I'm used to it. I expect there to be change every year. And now I'm just excited to get in the gym with new guys that we have coming in and seeing what they look like and seeing how that process will evolve.
You mentioned some of the international additions, just broad strokes, putting that emphasis on there. What sort of differences is there when recruiting a guy internationally versus a local prep player?
It depends on what type of international prospect you're bringing in. If you're bringing in a younger guy to develop, that's one thing. If you're bringing in a guy that's played against high-level basketball in Europe, then they're ready to instantly come into college and make an impact. I think the reason we went in this direction a little bit this year is because the NIL and the money that's available, now you're seeing some of the top European and international prospects that never would consider coming over here in the past. They would stay with their club teams. Now those guys are coming into the college game because the money is better and they could make more. And so like we're actually getting a better product. Like college basketball is going to be better because of the infusion of these international players that could play right away and make the game better over here.
What was that international recruiting process like with Lou, specifically in Canada?
I would say it's like closer to like United States. There's not a ton of difference. It was easy to go see him in Montreal. He prepped in Toronto, so we were able to see him there. He played AAU in the United States, so we were able to watch him. So his recruitment was different. And then he had all the academic requirements necessary, so it was a pretty smooth process.
Aside from the physical attributes that Luke already came in with, what intangibles did he have?
He just like great family, great foundation underneath him, great work ethic, drive. He was self-starter. He was not the type of kid that wanted anything handed to him. He wanted to earn it. He was very coachable. Like there was a game that I remember we played Utah here, and we were up like 15 right away, and we lost the lead. You know, I think Remy and Lou took some bad shots, had a couple turnovers. Before you know it, we're like up 2 at halftime. It's Utah's ball. They score like the first 6 points of the second half, and now like the air is like out of the gym, and we lose that game. And then the next game is Colorado, and I sat Lou and I sat Remy, and when I put Lou in the game, like he did not like, hey, I'm a 5-star, you know, I'm a starter. Like, why would you bet? None of that. Like, great teammate, and then went out and performed and kind of never looked back. So those are the kinds of things I remember, just how willing he was to be coached hard.
When you looked to rebuild this roster, what specifically did you look at in your transfers? In that, like you had some temperamental issues last year and some conduct issues.
Yeah.
Did that play a role in looking at a specific type of player this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to avoid the injury stuff that we had, so I had like trying to avoid that, number one, if we can, if possible, finding the best ways to do that. But certainly in a quick recruiting cycle like we're in, we have to try and evaluate the character and make sure, you know, that's taken care of. So that was certainly, you know, a priority as we look to build the roster. Like also for first year in the Big 12, you know, it's one thing to say Big 12's tough league. To experience it, like we had to get more bodies and more size, more depth. We have to have better practices this year. I think as guys got hurt, as the season progressed, we had a hard time even practicing. I got to get Mickey Mitchell out of practice. His back's hurting him. So, but we're trying to do a lot of things to eliminate or some of our issues we had last year.
How do you build chemistry in the portal here?
I mean, I'm going to have the team, whoever's here, to my house June 11th to watch the NBA Finals. We're going to try and do as many team building things as we can throughout the summer. I don't really have guys currently that are on draft boards, so I think everybody has got to earn everything they get when they get to campus, and that'll be the approach. You know, we tried to identify guys that I think want to win. You know, we have a number of guys that have 1 year left and got to make it work, myself included. So that's important. And then, you know, we have some other guys that I think we could bring along and develop. So I think we have a pretty good mix of those things.
Kind of a bit of a flyer because he's younger, but the Suns just hired Jordan Ott as their head coach. Is there any chance that you've come across him? coaching circles?
I have not, so yeah, I'm not as much immersed in, in the NBA game. I'm all in for the playoffs. Outside of that, I'm not really watching too much, paying attention.
Coach, with the influx of European players, now you talked about that and going to Europe yourself, how does that affect high school kids growing up here in the States?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's like, I think you could be more patient if you got a good structure and good people giving you good advice. You could grow and develop, over time, and there's not a rush to be thrown to the wolves right away. And so I think you'll see the top 20, 25, 30 high school players still having a significant impact on the college game, but the college game has gotten older and more experienced, so it's just going to be harder for those guys. They might have to wait their turn a little more than they have in the past.
Was it hard to go out and recruit guys being in the last year of your contract? Does that change how you recruit at all?
I shifted just my narrative and the vision and what I was trying to portray to everybody. Like, my back's against the wall. I've loved my time here at Arizona State, and I value that greatly, and I'm a competitor. So, if you have 1 year and you want to be with someone that's all in and invested to win this year and have a great season, then it might make sense for you. So that was kind of the approach I took.
What's been I know you've had a very busy offseason, but what's been your first impression of Molly Miller and the job she's doing building the women's basketball team?
Yeah, she's got great energy. I think she's really, come on campus and energized the women's basketball program, and really enjoyed coaching with Natasha and being in the building with her and her staff. And I thought they did a very good job. But I think hopefully Molly will breathe life into the program, and she's got great energy, and she won last year, and I think she'll do a great job.
Has the pending house settlement case had any looming effect over as he's approached the offseason?
Just learning about it and staying up to speed on potentially when it would get agreed upon, and just so in a little bit of a holding pattern there. But Big 12 head coach meetings last week, it was discussed just what that's going to look like, and the elements of it and everything. So I think we're starting to have a pretty firm handle on it.
There was that dichotomy that you want to have as many scholarship players as possible, but at the end of the day, the rotation is not going to be more than 9 players, maybe 10 in some cases, and maybe even shrinks when it goes to conference play. So is that kind of like a weird landscape to navigate? I mean, sure, you get more scholarship players, you want more depth, but the rotation only goes that far.
Yeah, good question. I've always avoided getting to my scholarship limit in the past, but I got PTSD from last year, so we're going right to the limit this year. I'm bringing, I think, potentially 15 guys in, and so I have a vision of an intra-squad scrimmage in July some point, where I could have 8 guys on one team and 7 on another, and now we get to compete against each other. I'm looking for more competition and practice, better practices. Last year, they just got awful as the year progressed.
So Mickey's not going to be part of that intra-squad?
No, I don't think so, unless again, we got to get something here with, I don't know, what is the thing you light on fire and you burn incense or something, sage the place, and before everybody gets going, and hopefully we don't need Mickey again.
Bobby, you kind of touched on it earlier, but Lou's decision to kind of bet on himself after his freshman year, were you in support of that, or were you conversations of him coming back?
I think the feedback was we always get an examination from the NBA about where you're going to get drafted, and Lou's was anywhere from 20 to 35. So he had feedback and potentially, first round opportunity. A lot of times guys wait for a promise, and once they get the promise, then they stay in the draft. I think that Lou should have been drafted. His representatives did a great job of telling some teams hey, don't take him because we don't want to stash him in Europe somewhere. So Lou went undrafted because of that, not because he wasn't worthy of being hearing his name called. But his road was different. He evaluated it. He thought he was ready to go. I agreed. Based on the year I had with him, I thought he was physically ready. He had the mental makeup, and he was an NBA player. So I gave him my blessing for whatever that's worth.